Hey Justin, thanks for talking with us today. With one game left in this season, what can you just describe what this whole year has been like for you? Not just with dealing with COVID, but making the first Pro Bowl, playing on the franchise tag.
Yeah, it's been weird. There's obviously been, I mean, this season hasn't been in any way, shape or form the type of season that the team wanted. And I know, like you said, the pandemic, injuries, those things factor in. But regardless, it's nowhere near the team expectations, and it's so hard to. And I say that because then transitioning to individual. There's been a lot of individual success for myself, but it's so hard to kind of balance that because this is a team game. And while you are grateful for some of the things that, while I'm grateful for some of the things that have happened individually, it's still like almost bittersweet just because the team success still hasn't been there. And that's always like a tough place to kind of tread water. But there has been a lot of growth this season. It's been a big learning curve for myself, and it's just something that I think I'll always take for the rest of my career, in terms of just building on it, leadership wise, character wise, all the growths that I felt that have come with this year of 2020.
Nice one, George.
Yeah, Justin, I know you've been super involved in the social justice initiatives and all of that. Can you just tell us how cool it is to see the announcement this morning that the Broncos are donating $250,000 to local places that are involved in those type of initiatives?
Yeah, it's awesome. I always, I've said like, I think the NFL, I think what's great about it is, a few years ago when Colin Kaepernick was taking a knee alongside of, other notable guys around the league, there was a big kind of taken back factor of questions occurring and a lot of criticism. And then to see just like the little steps that we've taken, not just as an organization in Denver, but I think in the NFL, just the little steps that we've seen them take have been steps in the right direction, but always looking for to keep that going, right? Not to be stagnant and thinking that, just doing a few things here and there and, kind of just promoting a few things here and there will kind of change it, but always consistently staying on top of this from here on out. So it's been great seeing all the support and all of the, like I said, communication heading in the right direction. I just hope it's not just because this year was so prominent in bringing all those things up. I hope that happens for years and years to come because we know how powerful the shield is and the NFL can be, and there could be a lot of good change coming with with that support. So,
Next one, Kyle.
Justin, Michael Ojemudia coming to the Fire time and again this year. What's been your impressions of how he's handled that, and what gives you some hope and promise that he's going to build off this rookie year and going into next year?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's always tough for a rookie to come in and produce, especially at the at the corner position. And we demand a good bit out of our corners in Vic's scheme, and so it's tough. I've said it before, but it's tough. Limited OTAs, limited training camp. Everything's been Zoom, and guys just learn differently. Some guys are visual learners, some guys have to go through it learners. And I'm just proud of OJ. He had a lot of adversity this year and faced a lot of different trials, and it's not always easy, like I said, to go out there and play corner. And we had a pretty tough schedule. We played a lot of really good receiving core groups, and I just was proud of how he handled it. And I know he'll build off this and he'll continue to get better, year in and year out. So I'm proud of him for that.
Next one, Eric.
Hey, Justin, you tweeted the other day about working with the ACLU and Governor Polis on some decarceration efforts. I guess what drew you to that specifically? And then you mentioned you still want to see more done. Just kind of what are next steps in your eyes?
Yeah, so myself, Alexander Johnson, and Boz, and then Deontay Spencer, we met with the governor just recently, and we've been in talks with the ACLU and a couple of folks over at the Second Chance Center, and just talking about decarceration and, mass incarceration at that, and how that kind of ties into what we're going through right now. Because we've always said we've done the social justice power hour for every Tuesday, pretty much the whole season. And we've always said, like, okay, this is great, we're having a conversation, but us as the players, like, we want to do something, we want to kind of do something again, like the bill, SB 217, something to that degree. And mass incarceration was something that we all kind of agreed on. And when we got into talking with the ACLU and Second Chance Center, they had already been doing such amazing work in that area that it was just kind of easy to kind of join forces with them and continue that work and conversation that they've already put in. And so, I just briefly tweeted out that I was just disappointed because we had a conversation with the governor, and we're very fortunate because he didn't have to have the conversation, and he knew it was going to be about clemency, and he still agreed to have the meeting, and I'm very fortunate and thankful for that. But I think just disappointed because there were some things expressed in that call that we thought were very clear and he understood. And it just seemed, after the announcement of the 22 individuals that were pardoned, only 4 of them were incarcerated at the time of the announcement. And it just wasn't indicative of the conversation that we had. We talked about nonviolent, minimal charges, guys or people that have stable homes to return to, aren't threats to society, have not only stable homes, but have a community that is welcoming and ready to give job opportunities to these individuals. And so all that encompassing with the pandemic and how, what's the word I'm looking for, and how the facilities in our prison systems aren't great for distancing and all the things that we talk about we need to do outside of our prisons, and the virus being contracted in our prison systems and people at high risk of contracting the virus. It just, when we were having the conversation with him, it seemed like a no-brainer that he was going to do more in that regard. And that obviously wasn't the case with the announcement. So a couple guys are just expressing their disappointment in that.
Guys, we got time for a few more. Next one.
Justin, you talked when we spoke with you after the Pro Bowl announcement about, after the season sort of taking the backpack off your shoulders, so to speak, and kind of relaxing. How will you kind of, once game is over Sunday and into the next week, how will you kind of, approach this offseason as you get ready for kind of another big offseason in terms of your future?
Yeah. Man, that's a great question. It's definitely one that I feel like I can answer more in depth kind of after the game. It's just I don't mean to put it off. It's hard for me mentally to think about because I just want to close out one last game at least the right way. But it is an answer. I mean, it is a question I'm willing to answer truthfully, wholeheartedly after the game on Sunday. And I don't know for sure. Seth and Eric haven't told me, but I'm pretty sure I'm doing media after the game on Sunday. So I definitely would be willing to answer, but it's hard to get in that mindset and then, focus back up for Monday. So I apologize for that.
I appreciate that. Thanks.
Final one, right?
Hey, Justin, I got 2 for you. The lack of takeaways has been a focal point all season. Have you guys just faced good quarterbacks, or have there been opportunities that you guys have squandered?
No, I think it's always a combination of both. There have definitely been more opportunities, and we just haven't executed on them. The takeaway aspect, a lot of it is effort. And I don't mean like effort like getting to the ball. I just mean effort and conscious effort of attacking, the football. And, like I said, you got a lot of guys in the rotation mixing in and out throughout the season, constant injuries at the D-line and cornerback position. And, when you're not out there, when it's hard to go out there and execute at the highest of levels when the consistency of of certain individuals aren't there, just because of COVID and injuries and things of that nature, because you're not playing, you got guys that are kind of still learning everything and not playing, fast and to the fullest ability just because of uncertainties of wanting to perfect, your technique and everything that comes with it. And so I say it every week when, we're pertaining to that type of question, that it's not an excuse. It's just a reality. And my job as a leader of the defense is to figure out a way to get us to that point of doing better in that area, because at the end of the day, no one cares what you're going through, or if you're playing games without X, Y, and Z person. All that matters is the win or a loss. So
Yeah. Then my final question, J.C. Treader, your union president, wrote a story on the NFLPA website today saying that previous offseason program formats should never return. Sort of putting you on the spot here, but how much have you benefited from those OTAs and those offseason meetings throughout your career?
Yeah, I I don't want to speak out of turn, but I feel like that's a little intense. I'm just thinking about, like, obviously for me, I've been in it for a while now. I have a pretty good grasp of defensive calls and offensive formations and things of that nature. So, maybe there isn't as much benefit, but I'm thinking about I'm thinking about guys like OJ, like, who I know would have benefited off of, a full OTA, a full training camp. And I understand this year with the pandemic how that wasn't accessible, but moving forward, if there is a way, in my opinion, if there is a way to safely have those things for the individual teams, and I feel like that is something that we should do, because the game's already hard enough, with everything going on. I think limiting practices and meetings and things in that nature in the off season would only hurt. And then you also talk about how NFL guys, how they spend their off seasons, and I just think that just causes more area for I guess trouble. But that's just my opinion. So